Fill it.
I drink your milkshake.
You are listening to the Billionaire Podcast Network.
All right, go. Welcome everybody to Lost in the Maze number 12. This one's late again. Sorry, my bad. No promises here. Maybe I should be more professional. This is the Billionaire Podcast Network. Ka-ching, bing, 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 dick-to-dee, fill her up. Yeah, this is Lost in the Maze, the solo show on the Billionaire Podcast Network. It's me, yours truly, the first billionaire podcaster, the Daniel Plainview of podcasting, the Roger Ebert of boobs, White Sonat. It's me, Dalton Pruitt. Yeah, this one's late again. I'm sorry. I've been busy with stuff. I've had I got a lot of plates spinning because I've been working as a street performer in my moonlighting hours, and I've been spinning plates. I've also been playing and doing the organ while the monkey dances, do organ grinding. I also paint myself gold, I guess, here in these streets. No, I've just been busy with life stuff. I don't have the I don't have the comfort or the wealth that affords me a stable podcast schedule. I do what I can when I can, and it's currently 1:46 a.m. Friday, November 7th. I spent all day dodging calls from creditors. Good fucking luck getting that money. Not even it's not even the company I borrowed from originally. They done sold that shit off. That's one of the unfortunate fallouts from psychosis is your wanton disregard for your own finances. Horrific financial decisions made in the throes of a mental health crisis, under the delusion that the government itself is going to deposit millions of dollars in your bank account, and then after months it does not, and then the phone calls start coming, the letters start coming in the mail, and that's going to get ignored. The same with the medical debt. Good, yeah, nice fucking try. Not paying that either. You're the police are the ones that made me go to the hospital, so I'll be fucking goddamn if I have to pay that bill. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You hit me with a 5150 and then try and stick me with the fucking bill, go fuck yourself. All right, I'm not paying that. Maybe when I get my first billion, but until then, you're not getting a fucking red cent from me. Not a half penny or a wheat penny. I used to think those were valuable. I remember one time when I was a kid, I've always had like an aversion to actually just like doing any real work. And so I remember when I was a kid, I had like a bunch of wheat pennies that I had found. which are just like old pennies. It's just like on the back of the penny instead of whatever that building is on the back of the penny. Man, I think it's like the Lincoln Memorial, maybe, or something like that. It's like wheat. It's just like a thing of wheat. And I remember taking them to a like an antique shop and thinking like, yeah, this antique shop out here on fucking the 199 on the side of the 199 highway in Texas is gonna pay for my college, my mortgage in the future. This is gonna create generational wealth. This handful of wheat pennies that I've collected. And I remember taking them in there and saying, "So what are these worth? What can you do for me with these?" And they were like, "Well, each one is worth about 1 cent each." So that plan did not work out, and neither did the plan of becoming a comedian either. I would have been better served just actually fucking working in my life. And I've tried. I've as smart and witty and talented as I am, never really been good at holding down a job. Every job I've had, I have either shown poor performance or just been completely insubordinate in some way. I had a job a few years ago as a barista at this place called Gregory's Coffee in NYC, and it's not I like working as a barista. It's not a bad gig. It's like you get all the coffee you want, so you turn it every day. You just turn into a Fry from that episode of Futurama where he drinks 100 cups of coffee. It's just because that's just how I would spend my days, is just like, I guess, just out of boredom, just pounding espresso, and by the end of my shift I'm just shaking and shitting my pants. But I learned how to make all the cool drinks: lattes, cappuccinos, cortados. I knew all the regulars, all the finance guys, and $6,000 soups that did not leave tips. And it wasn't bad. My manager when I started was this Ecuadorian guy. I forget his name. It was like Lorenzo or something. And he was really laid back and chill. He was just like, just clock in on time, smile, work, provide good service. But he was pretty hands off. And then he left and was replaced by a Himalayan fella by the name of Kush, who was an absolute fucking jackass and just was breathing down our necks. And this motherfucker, this fucking mountain dweller, wanted every one of us to have like a sub 1 minute time on whatever the drink was we were supposed to make. So every fucking latte or cappuccino that was being ordered, he wanted us to get it down to where we were grinding up the espresso, pulling the shot, steaming the milk, making the drink from soup to nuts in under a minute. And he'd stand there with a fucking goddamn stopwatch and time us. And it was solely because of this. Because I was clocking in at like maybe a minute 12, minute 15, that he wrote me up and was like demanded that I like increase my speed. And I'm like, I'm doing my best. Granted, I was high as fuck on kratom and weed. I'm in the bag making orange juice and kratums and hitting the fucking dab pen. But that's beside the point. That's everybody there. If every coffee shop you go to, everybody is stoned out of their gourds trying to get through that job. This bullshit fucking job that, I mean, would be nice if it actually paid, or if anybody actually left a fucking tip. But it doesn't pay for shit, and nobody wants to leave a tip on coffee. So the only consolation is you can just get as fucking high as you want. But yeah, so he's hitting me with the stopwatch, and then like he writes me up, and at the same time like doing that classic like 1950 style boss thing where it's like, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. So there was no downtime. They were always like creating this bullshit busy work for us to do. You know, the hallmark of any good job is making you just like constantly wipe shit down and, you know, jiggle bags on the shelves to fucking do nothing. Just making it look like you're working, just to like to justify their existence as bosses and managers and regional managers is like they, you know, they got to have something to delegate and then we got to have something to do, and it's this like Ouroboros of fucking bullshit work where nothing's even getting done. Like there's nothing happening. It's just making it look like you're busy. You know, because the fucking owner of the company might walk in at any second. This fucking Moshe Kasher looking pedophile dude, Gregory himself, might walk in and see that people might actually be enjoying their job to some degree. So there has to be busy work. So there's that. But then, yeah. So you know, every morning during the rush, I'm getting stopwatched, and the second time, and he's breathing down my neck, you know, for weeks. And the second time, this Himalayan guy, Kush, the manager, writes me up. He pulls me in the back, and he's like, you know, I got, you know, you're clocking in at like 1:09. I need you under a minute on these fucking lattes. And he writes me up. He's like, you know, one more of these, and it's you know, your final warning. It could, you know, it could be termination. And I just looked at him and I go, hey, Kush, you are really fucking annoying. And he was like, okay. And this fucking coward, like, I don't know how this shit works at a place like this, but this fucking coward didn't even have the balls to fire me himself. It's like 10 minutes later, the you know, the fruity fucking fat ass regional manager comes storming in, and he points at me and he's like, you take your apron off and clock out. You're fired. You don't work here anymore. And I was like, okay. So I took my apron off, threw it on the floor, and I'm just like slamming my fist and my fingers into this like touch screen to clock out. And I'm like, well, I'm fired, everybody. Goodbye. And then and so I just left. And then a few days later, I mean, there were some people that would tip, but then a few days later, I get a call from the manager, and he's like, oh, hey, you know, we have your tips for the week. You want to come get your your last tips? And so I go back to the coffee shop to pick up these tips, and he hands them to me, and he's all smiling and friendly. This fucking jackass, spineless little fucking goddamn snow Asian, yellow snow having ass. And he shakes my hand, and he's like, do you have any questions for me? I'm like, yeah, can I have my job back? And he's like, oh, you'll have to, you know, talk to corporate about that. And I'm like, fucking look me in the goddamn eyes and like grow a pair and give me a straight fucking answer. Tell me I can't have it back. Tell me I suck at this job. Tell me I'm a bad employee. Like, say something fucking real instead of whatever this bureaucratic bullshit speak is you're using. I don't mind being castigated. I don't mind you telling me to fuck off because I'm a shit employee. I'm well aware of that. But don't hit me with this like bullshit, these bullshit niceties, you know, this guise of this corporate friendliness. No, tell me that I absolutely fucking suck and you will never have me back at this job. And he wouldn't do that. No, he just told me to call corporate. I'm like, I'm definitely not doing that. So I left that place, and then I went and got another job as a barista at a one of these, like, is such a weird kind of business. It's a coffee bar that's inside of a barber shop. So it's like I was like running the coffee bar at a sort of like ritzier barber shop, like one of them places with like really ornate chairs, like old timey chairs, and like fancy barbers with leather aprons. But I was making coffee drinks. Like, people would come in and like just order coffee at a barber shop, and I'm like, there's like fucking hair everywhere. Like, why would you come here specifically just to get coffee? That's really strange. But then there would be people that would get their haircut and be getting shaves that would also like want coffee while they're getting their haircut. I'm like, this is so gross because there's just like stubble and hair floating around everywhere. But I only worked there for like a couple weeks, and then I got another job at a children's clothing company doing customer service, and that job sucked ass as well. I mean, it was whatever. It was a nice little office job in one of those like fascist open floor plan offices. God, I hate that shit so much. We yearn for the cubicle these days because an open floor plan really just like it just makes it feel like you're under total constant surveillance because you are. That's the whole reason for that design. It looks hip, it looks fun and hip, and like, oh, we're all just flowing here. But I think the only reason that should exist, the only reason they tore down the cubicles and turned all these fucking goddamn offices into these open floor plans is just so all the managers and founders and CEOs and whomever can keep an eye on everybody while they're working. Because I mean, at least with a cubicle, you have some semblance of privacy and autonomy. It's not an office, but at least it has walls, so you can like keep to yourself and just, like do your fucking job without that feeling of like impending doom because you're being watched. But then like an open floor plan is like, oh, well, just everybody can see. I mean, yeah, I guess it's cool that there's a fucking ping pong table here and a Mortal Kombat 4 machine, but it would be, what would be nice is some actual fucking privacy while I'm doing my job. Is just to be able to actually sit at this computer and work without having to worry about like what I look like or if it looks like I'm busy enough. And it's just like totally, fascist is I guess is the word. And then like with work from home, it's even weirder because now you're bugging your own home. Now it's like, okay, take your work computer into your house, and it's like it is better than having to go into an office like that. I mean, there's absolutely no reason to go into an office these days as long as you have like a decent internet connection at home. I like the only people advocating for this return to office or just trying to prop up the commercial real estate because like anybody that owns those buildings or is leasing that office space is absolutely losing their asses on that shit. Like I think I remember I remember reading something that like the Empire State Building, like 90% of that office space is just like not being used right now. And it's also like really weird to think about the fact that like most of those skyscrapers in New York, or I guess like any major metropolitan city, like a lot of what's in those buildings is just office space. It's just like different, floors and floors of rooms, this space that's just like desks and tables and printers and fax machines and computers. And it's like people are like driving $80,000 cars to go pay to park, to go up into an elevator, to go into a building where they open a laptop and maybe answer 3 emails, for the day. Like in any given 8 hour workday, they're doing maybe 2-3 hours of actual work. Any typical office drone. I'm sure people in like higher, like more prestigious positions are doing like more work, but like anybody that's just like putting in the grind of the 9 to 5 is like putting in so much fucking work just to get to the job if they're in an office and they got to pay all the gas and car note and all this shit just to get there. And then like once you're there, it's so asinine. Like the existence of these buildings is crazy to think about. Like it just exists so people can go like click clack on a fucking keyboard and do something that they absolutely could just do from home. And then any one-on-one meetings with managers or team meetings or whatever can be done over Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and it's fine. It's like there doesn't need to like it's not something that requires anything to be in person. There doesn't need to be the feeling of family or the energy of being in person because everybody understands that it's a fucking job and that there's work to do. So it's not the same as like, you know, like any creative endeavor or something that might actually warrant like being physically in the room with other people. It's literally just like some bullshit that people are agreeing to do so they don't starve. So you can rest assured that the work is going to get done because the alternative is death. that's that's why working from home actually does work, because people are still incentivized to do their job. Otherwise they will fucking die. uh, but working from the, you know, the downside of working from home is you have now bugged your own home. You know, like I may or may not do that now. And you know, I got a whole setup that's just, you know, a surveillance system for my home office, which is, you know, the inside of my boxcar, because I'm homeless and in substantial debt. Please subscribe to the Patreon, everybody. I am riddled in financial issues. Patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. $5 tier, $10 tier, $15 tier. But the most important one, the $25 tier, gets you the Fraternal Order of Corn-Fed decal after 3 months of being subscribed. So it is $75 for a sticker. But once you subscribe, you can send me a list of your enemies, and I will call for a jihad upon them. And then once you get the decal after the after the 3 months, you're also welcome to just be a guest on the show. We'll do a full fucking show with you, because who are we? You know, me, Kevin, Sal on the main show. We're just guys. We're just dudes. We're not big famous comedians. We're not big famous podcasters. We don't have wealth. We're just guys grinding it in day out, day in, day out, like you folks. And probably doing worse than many of you. I know I am. So shout out to Chris, who subscribed to the $25 tier. He might go all the way. I think he is going to go all the way and get the decal, and then we'll have him on the show. But speaking of jihad, everybody is in love again with Osama bin Laden. The big controversy right now, the big news story now, is the Gen Z, the Zoomers, at least on TikTok. Also follow me on TikTok at Dalton Pruitt. We'll get to that in a minute. But the Gen Z folks have, I guess, like they discovered that letter he wrote as to like why he did 9/11, and some of the, I guess, like some of the point. I haven't actually fucking read the letter. I don't care. But I guess like some of the points he makes line up with their, like, these arguments that these people have, that like younger leftists have for like decolonization and like the great Satan that is the colonizers and colonizer culture. And so now they're like sympathizing with Osama bin Laden. And I mean, in that regard, I mean, I guess he does make some good, like, like he makes decent points about American imperialism. He also advocates for like pretty strict Sharia law and all that. But you know, like I'm not like I'm not a bin Laden head necessarily. I mean, I did mention this on X, formerly Twitter, that while I think 9/11 was kind of a mean thing to do, very rude, the Twin Towers were disgusting buildings, very unsightly, brutalist obelisks, even, that were, you know, only magnificent in their the scope of them, the scale, the symmetry, but they have just total fucking eyesores. Just big giant blocks planted in the middle of the city. And you know, I think Osama bin Laden did us all a favor by, you know, getting rid. It sucks that, look, it's unfortunate that people died. It's unfortunate that all the Gentiles that were not given the word to not come into work that morning did perish in the 9/11 attacks. But that we were finally rid of those just atrocious buildings. I mean, crimes of architecture. And what we have now is the Freedom Tower, which is a much more glamorous, elegant, dignified work of architecture. You know, the Twin Towers were just brutalistically fascist, and I mean truly fascist. You know, somebody on X, formerly Twitter, said that they look like they would belong in, like, the Freedom Tower looks like it belongs in Metropolis, whereas the Twin Towers belong in Gotham. And it's like, no, no, no. Like, Gotham is at least, has the sort of like poppy bubblegum fascism of Art Deco. Like, Gotham has this like gothic, Ayn Rand style pop fascism to it, whereas the Twin Towers would be like better set in like Mega City 1 from 2000 AD, Judge Dredd. Just a total fascist police state in which the cops themselves are all judge, jury, and executioner. That's what the Twin Towers look like. They look like two giant fucking what are essentially like city block housing developments, that quarter all the people in the city, or whatever was going on in Judge. It's been a while since I've seen the movie or read any of the books, but the idea is that following the downfall of civilization and like whatever apocalyptic events, the American cities, there's only a few left, and Mega City 1 is the big one. And so, like, instead of having like city blocks or anything, like any open air areas, everything is relegated to the inside of these giant fucking buildings. And so that's where all the markets and housing and shops and restaurants are, just inside these giant hideous fascist buildings. And that's what the Twin Towers look like, except they that was where, I guess, like, what did people do? What did anyone do there? It was like finance or like banking or whatever. So I mean, honestly, good fucking riddance. I'll tell you that much. Taking out Merrill Lynch, the people that doing a little fight club, getting rid of the people that I owe money to on a couple credit cards. Okay, that's what I mean. Honestly, honestly, 9/11. This is fucked up, and I'm just now realizing this. 9/11, was the same idea as Project Mayhem from Fight Club. And Fight Club came out in '99, so that was one of those sort of like portentous harbingers of what was to come, that I guess Palahniuk and David Fincher didn't even realize, looking back on it, would might have even inspired Bin Laden and Mohammed Atta and the fellas that did not. Yeah, but that, I mean, like, blowing up the fucking financial centers is like the same plot that Tyler Durden and the narrator, I am Jack's Jihad. It's the same plot that they had. Get rid of the financial centers and erase all the debt. Which I don't really understand as like a plan. I don't understand how blowing up the fucking buildings is gonna erase all the credit card debt. I think the debt still exists. It's just now the owners of the buildings can file an insurance claim and like make more money. Which I think is what the owner of the World Trade Centers did, right? Larry Silverstein. He was in this bidding war with the Port Authority to buy the WTC complex. I don't know how. I don't know how any like one person just like owns a fucking building like that. But he won out in like July of that year, July of 2001, and then September of that year, kaboom, the buildings are gone, and then he gets like fucking like $1 billion insurance claim. Okay, Silverstein. All right, triple parentheses Silverstein. I feel you. No, we don't do that kind of stuff here. especially not now. Not when the IDF needs our help more than ever, according to friend of the show Ben Shapiro. We gotta send our fucking money to the IDF. That rules, by the way. That's awesome. That he is like, I guess he fired her, but he's like been beefing with Candace Owens. And it's fun. That's really fun. Where she's like, two absolutely no heroes in that story. A sort of Freddy versus Jason situation where it's just like, well, no matter what, no matter who wins in this one, still just an rotten fucking evil person. That's the victor. And it's, I love that. Uh, I love that she utilized like scripture in her like war with Ben Shapiro currently. Like she quoted some like Bible verse, and then he called her out and got mad at her and was like, "Well, Candace, if God says you don't want to, I don't know, if God doesn't think you should work here, then you should leave." And she's like, "How dare you insert yourself into scripture?" And it's like, well, bitch, I mean, you're using the scripture itself to prop yourself up and like fortify yourself in this like weird squabble. You're using it in a way that Jesus would not like, to create this image for yourself and like position yourself as this like noble warrior against Ben Shapiro, to further your own like fucking interests in your own fucking career. Like, I don't know what any of these people really believe in. I think like they worship really the almighty dollar. I mean, it's my favorite thing about Ben Shapiro, and like, trust me, as soon as I can, this show will also do this. But he'll be like in these impassioned, rageful monologues on his show, calling for like further genocide and bloodshed, and be like, Hamas is Palestine. Palestine is Hamas, and that's why it's important that the IDF continues to bomb the hospitals and pour white phosphorus on all the babies in Palestine. More on that in a minute. Speaking of cooked children, this episode is brought to you by Good Rancher Beef Jerky. Like, he just flows seamlessly into these ad reads. And the thing that gets me about that, like, that really weirds me out about that is like, for him, it's like, yeah, I mean, he's a con man. He's got to make a fucking buck, and I would love to be able to do that. But the fans of his, like the people that do support him and his message, how do they not see that? Like, how do they put up with that? Like, if you're like sincerely tuning into the fucking Daily Wire and the Ben Shapiro show and watching this shit and just like nodding your head, in agreement with him, and then you're hit with this like, just abrupt interruption for like a VPN service or a beef jerky or a skin cream. Like, how do you put up with that? Like, how are you watching this and agreeing with the points he's making and like feeling the rage and passion that he's like beaming onto you? But then he's also trying to sell you, use promo code Shapiro at checkout for 20% off. Like, I don't understand how you like don't see through that, and how you're just, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Because the thing that's like unsettling about it is it's not like, God, this fucking goddamn chair. The thing that's unsettling about it is it's not like an actual ad break. Like, I mean, at least on Fox News, there's like, it's not the anchors themselves that are reading it. So there's still this like distance between them and the products that are like paying for the show. They're sponsoring it, it's like whoever's on, Mad Hour or whatever is bitching about something, and then, more on that after the break. And then it cuts to a commercial for laundry detergent, and deodorant, and toothpaste, and reverse mortgages, and then it comes back to Rachel Maddow, and so it's like, Rachel Maddow herself gets to stick with her own like fear mongering and propaganda and political agenda, and then the sales is left up to the ad agencies and the product itself and the corporate sponsors. So like never the twain shall meet. Maddow herself is not trying to get you to, go to bonobos.com and use promo code. She doesn't. She also just sounds like Ben Shapiro. Go to bonobos.com and use promo code Maddow for 20% off your khakis. No, there's none of that. So there's still like this, it's still this like separation between the like on-air personality and the corporate sponsorship. Whereas with Shapiro, it's one and the same. So I don't know how anyone like is legitimately a fan of and like supportive of him and what he does, because it's so blatant how much he's just like trying to get a fucking buck out of people. And it's like lately all he's talked about is how much he wants the IDF and the state of Israel to just fucking decimate Palestine. It's this like totally like religious call for like war and death and destruction and apocalypse in the Middle East. And it's like even fucking like Joel Osteen and Jim Baker and all those guys, like they're not just like always shamelessly calling for Armageddon or doing like doomsday shit. I mean, they do a lot of that for sure, but they also will read scripture and do all the things a preacher is supposed to do to make you feel good. But it's like with Ben Shapiro and any of these guys, Steven Crowder, Matt Walsh, it's just like non-fucking stop war hawk propaganda. The sky is falling, everybody's trans, just like whatever, dystopia, just straight out of 1984. It's constantly with those guys, and it makes you look at somebody like Kenneth Copeland fondly. You're like, man, I'd rather watch this guy at this point, because at least he'll read some Bible verses and make me feel the damn Holy Spirit. Speaking of, new show coming to the Billionaire Podcast Network. Ka-ching, bing, 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 dick-to-dee, fill her up. New show coming to the network. I had my boy Jamie Gravy on recently. I hope y'all watched that episode. If you didn't, go check that out. But we're going to do a very sincere Bible study show. I think we're tentatively titled The Blessed Backyard Boys Bible Banquet. Which is let's get this straight right off the bat. That is absolutely a ripoff of Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers. It was too good not to rip off Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers. So the Blessed Backyard Boys Backdoor Bible Backyard Boys, the Blessed Backyard Boys Bible Banquet. Because he and I both grew up pretty religious in the church, and like the scripture tells you, you will lose your way and then you must find it again. You'll go down the left-hand path and then must return to the right-hand path, I believe. So we're gonna do a pretty sincere Bible study show. No swear words. There's gonna be no swear words. And it's going to be not ironic. We're not. I don't want to approach this from a place of mockery. And so, Colin mockery from Whose Line Is It Anyway? No, I just but he and I both share the sentiment that we just like miss actually reading the Bible and going to church. And so I was, I just was like, hey, let's do a little Bible study. So I still got to read Genesis chapter 1. We're going cover to cover, baby. We're going front to back. So study the Bible with us at the Blessed Backyard Boys Bible Banquet. And for sure, the plan is to like, with that show, turn the Billionaire Podcast Network into some sort of like religious organization a church and claim tax exemption, so all the advertiser dollars and Patreon money is tax free. I can't believe like if that might actually work. I need to look into that if I can do that. But that's a business strategy that I can't believe I'm the only one that's thinking of right now. As much as I respect Lewis J as a businessman, he should absolutely have some sort of like Bible religious show on that network, just for the purposes of trying to turn Gas Digital into a church. And he's not doing that, and it's like, well, hey pal, step to the fucking Billionaire Podcast Network, because this is about to be a church organization. All right, my flock continue to groweth. Not really. People are unsubscribing from the fucking YouTube. Is it the titty videos? I mentioned earlier we're going to get into the TikTok. Is it the rack reactions? Is the reason? Because I started uploading some of those to the YouTube channel. I was doing it as like shorts, but the shorts only let you do 60 seconds at a time, and I was like, this is a fucking pain in the ass. Why don't I just upload the whole thing as like its own like video? Because they're only like 3 to 6 minutes long each. Which is funny, because like people have like commented that like these are really long, and I'm like, no, you just have iPad baby brain. You just have like the brain of a cracked out, like content obsessed junkie that can't like focus on somebody like literally just talking, for a few minutes, and it's not super cut and edited in like that weird way. I can't stand that. Like when I watch anything on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, and it's that constant like jumpy like I'm watching a fucking Liam Neeson action movie, but it's just literally just somebody kind of doing what I'm doing now, but there's like 9 cuts a second with what they're doing. It's that I cannot fucking stand that, and it's crazy to me to learn and like hone in this craft of like video editing for the purposes of like turning your SpongeBob video essay into this like fever dream fucking like Taken movie. Like how in like an action scene like in a movie like that, like Taken or The Bourne Identity, it'll be something as simple as like Matt Damon hopping a fence, and there's like 12 cuts in this 5 or 6 second sequence, and there's so many fucking TikToks and YouTubes like that I'm like, you're wasting your video editing ability on this. You should be like figuring out a way to actually present yourself and what you want to say in a manner that in an actual broadcasting fashion, in a way that's interesting, so you don't have to fucking do this. That's the thing, is none of these fucking people know how to be interesting or entertaining or have the cadence or the fucking timing to do so. So they're using like weird digital computer tricks to like fool people into watching their shit. And it's also only like a fucking minute long. It's like a minute long like bullshit sketch or some like call to action or a PSA or here's the thing about colonization or the thing about trans rights, and it's just the back and forth and all the fucking editing. Yeah, it's like whacking out people's brains. And so when I come along, and by the way, I don't know how to fucking do any of that. That's the other thing. I spent all my time getting good at stand-up and broadcasting and talking like I'm doing now. This is what I'm good at. I have no fucking clue how to do video editing. I just figured out iMovie. When I'm done recording this, I'm going to plug this into iMovie and put the intro song and the outro song, and then put a little backing track to it. That's as much as I know how to do. But the thing is, I don't need to know how to do anything else because I'm just entertaining as it is. So everything I'm doing now, one fucking take, one seamless, streamlined podcast in which there's no edits, there's no jumps, there's no cuts. It's just me talking by myself. A rare, unique talent missing in so much of the world now. Very few people can do what I'm doing right now. I'll tell you that goddamn much. You know, I'm the fucking Glenn Beck I'm also Glenn Beck. Uh, damn, I love him. He's great. He just looking as bloated and alcoholic as ever. I don't know if anybody watches Glenn Beck still, but he does some internet radio show, and he's got these like really good looking these like white microphones that say GB on them, and he's still doing his his weird like propaganda, like conservative grift kind of thing. My mom likes him. My mom really respects him. Oh, he loves to paint. And I was like, oh, well, you know who else loved to paint? Guy by the name of Hitler. Okay, and he was quite the orator himself. So think about that, sweetheart. um, oh yeah, but the titty videos, yeah, I started uploading those, and then I noticed that like people like there was a drop off in subscribers on the YouTube channel. So I mean, let me know if the titty videos are that upsetting. Like if you're seeing them elsewhere and you don't want to have to see them here, or if you just think they suck, fine. I won't upload them here. They'll stay on TikTok and X, formerly Twitter. Uh, um, but I don't know. It's fun, and TikTok is a good way to like develop an audience. And I can always tell when like a new technology or something is like gonna actually work by the age and like volume of people that poo poo on it, that vilify it. And like TikTok for the last few years has been something that boomers and a lot of Gen X and like this huge contingent of like older people are saying is very dystopian, very 1984. It spells the death of culture and civilization. It's like, well, this is the one to hop on because these people have been fucking wrong about everything forever when it comes to this kind of thing, and then they end up adopting it anyway, like when it's too late. So I figured, we're a few years into TikTok and it's still growing. It's still kind of new and scary to people. So it's time to hop on board. And it is like a fun thing to use because like there's so little originality on there that like just coming along myself, being who I am, and doing what I do, which is like very minimal. It's like what I do is very simple. It's just speaking. It's just orating, which like there's so few people on there that actually know how to do that in a way that's actually like fun, interesting, and engaging and entertaining. Like they either have like this heavily scripted thing they're doing, or this like hyper edited, frenetic like bullshit, or you know, it's just people like 1,000 different people doing variations of the same joke. The oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinal, something like a meme happens, and then a bunch of people do a dance, and each one gets 1,000 likes. And then I just do what I do, which is like just another version of broadcasting, basically, which is what something I enjoy. That's one of the good things about the internet is I get to be a broadcaster. So I'm grateful for. I guess I would not be exploring all of this if it wasn't for Robbie Goodwin. So go follow his show. What about Rob? Because I mean, he was the one. He was like the heart and soul of the Loud Boys. I was sort of the not even the brains of it. What was I? The spine of the operation, and Joe was the tumor that was the Joe was the tumor on the brain of the Loud Boys that was I guess like making us interesting to look at and also killing us. Um, but yeah, Robbie was the one who wanted to do the show and understood the like filming and editing, and he had connections, and like I guess I had like thought about podcasting prior to meeting him, but like the plan always was something like that, like meet somebody who has the wherewithal and actually wants to fucking do this, and then do a show with them and try and build that. And so like I'm grateful to him for doing that and like helping me get my feet wet, get my foot in the door of actually podcasting. And then in a sheer act of desperation after everything that happened to me, I'm doing this now, which is like a fun, it's a fun thing to do, and I'm glad people enjoy the solo thing that I'm doing and enjoy the main show that I do. And we're gonna start, I guess we're gonna start having guests or whatever on, but it's the solo thing is definitely back against the wall, just like, all right, let's see if I can do a little AM radio solo show, just talk to myself for a little while. And people have said you're the Tim Dillon of the people. It's like he's too far gone. He's too out of touch, too disconnected from the fucking truth, from the real thing now. And it's like, here's a guy just looking into a shitty webcam with a shitty microphone in his box car. We can relate to this. I don't know what to think about him. I met him briefly. He seemed like a nice guy, but obviously I am the first billionaire podcaster. I just can't wrap my head around that kind of like wealth and success to like be at that level where you're like to be at a place in life where you're complaining about 5-star hotels and 5-star restaurants and interviewing politicians and celebrities and stuff is just so far beyond me. And it's completely it's also just like unrelatable, but people slop it up. His Patreon is huge, and people seem to enjoy him. But I mean, that's the goal of many entertainers, is to succeed enough that they don't have to fucking pal around with the proletariats and the troglodytes anymore. They don't they want to get wealthy enough and successful enough that they don't actually have to fucking concern themselves with you fucks. But me, I'm of the people. I'm the people's champ of podcasting. Ooh, another moniker, the people's champ of podcasting. That's me, folks. I'll never leave you. I'll never flex my wealth because I don't have any yet. But I mean, what a boring thing to do on a show. It's not even that it's like offensive in the way that it's just gaudy and gauche. Like, I mean, that's always existed. Lifestyles of the rich and famous and MTV Cribs and all that. There's always been like an element of that. But like, if you're ostensibly some sort of like comedian or entertainer in that way, and you're just spending any amount of time talking about money and wealth and the cars you drive and the fucking watches you have, it's like what they like with those kinds of people, and I'm talking about like like Tom Segura and whomever, Bert Kreischer, like those kinds of people, like what they don't seem to understand, like any criticism that's levied against them in that regard, they seem to take it as like poor people upset that there's rich people, and it's like, no, who gives a fuck? Like, go make your money. Who cares? It's boring. It's just fucking boring, is what it is. Like, regular people just don't care. It's like, okay, you have a fancy watch. I have a Casio. You know what? They both tell the fucking time. You drive a Ferrari? What's a nice car? A Tesla even? It's like, I drive a Honda Accord. Well, I don't have a car right now, but so yeah, I guess any car would be interesting to a guy like me, but for anyone, it's like, okay, you drive a supercar, a Ferrari. I drive a Honda Accord. Guess what? They're both sitting in the drive-through at the fucking Chick-fil-A. So like, it's just boring to flex your wealth. You know what else is boring? Watching clips of other people's stuff. Is doing a shittier version of Tosh.0, of ridiculousness, of I mean, how embarrassing is that you, like, your show is essentially, and I'm definitely just talking about your mom's house at this point, your show is like a shittier version of ridiculousness. It's just watching the same fucking clips over and over and over again. Of these like misfits and weirdos that you find online, and like showing them to like your guests who I don't even know if are particularly interested in this kind of thing, and and that's your show. That's like a big part of your show is this like because people have told me that I qualify as a member of like what they call the cool guy club, that I would be considered a cool guy. It's like fine, I'll take the fucking exposure. It's also just shit. It's also just shit entertainment. It's not entertainment. It's content. Like there was always this distinction, like art versus entertainment, and now there's no art, and now there's not even really entertainment. Now it's just content. So they're just taking other people's content and then giggling about it to themselves while they cash fucking checks. And then the people in these videos probably don't are, like may not even be aware that they're like the subjects of this sort of like criticism and mockery on this program. And then like to add fucking insult to injury, these motherfuckers will actually make merch based on this shit. So it's like they're selling t-shirts of shit that people say in these fucking clips that they're just like taking for their own show, and it's like completely lacking in any sort of like real creativity or originality, and it's just not, and it's like not interesting. It's like either that or just talking about fucking money. And it's gosh, and at the end of the day, the biggest crime is it's just so fucking goddamn boring. It's just like that's what money does to people. Like when money corrupts, what it really does, that's worse than anything, is it just makes you so fucking boring. You lose that grit, that rawness, and you just become this husk that has absolutely nothing to fucking say or add to anything. And the only reason anyone respects you is you got there. So like you're just gliding on this like success, and so you have this money now, and you're caught in this like feedback loop of like, well, I have succeeded and I have money, and people respect me now because of the money, and you're just like absolutely just losing fucking touch. And that's the benchmark for everybody. It's just like once you have any amount of money, that also correlates to respect, and then any criticism otherwise, like any sort of like you know critical analysis of what you're doing is coming from coming from the haters, from the ones that are envious, they're jealous of this like wealth and success. And it's like, yeah, I mean, there's an element of that. It's like, yeah, who wouldn't want to be fucking rich as fuck? But also, it's coming from people who actually do want to support what you're doing when what you're doing now is so fucking goddamn boring. It's an insult. It's an absolute fucking insult to everyone that's like tuning into it, and that has been supporting you. And nothing will happen. They'll just get more and more successful because like they're already like past that Rubicon. Like they've crossed over into this realm where they're just going to keep making more and more fucking money, and Liquid Death is going to sell a fucking goddamn $60 cardboard box with your face on it. So that's, I mean, I guess that's the goal for this show. But now I'm just like turning into Red Bar now. But yeah, I mean, people, yeah, everybody worships the dollar. I mean, that's the thing with that Matt Rife guy, right? Is he's like successful monetarily, and he gets to tour, and he has like an hour special, but he sucks ass. And but you see him on all these big shows in these like interviews where people are treating him like he's this fucking artist, like this hot new kid on the block that's really shaking things up. And it's like, well, no, he's just a pretty boy who, like, chicks want to fuck him, and so dot 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 money. But he sucks. Like he has nothing interesting to say, and like all the stories about him, like these puff pieces, are just that he struggled for years and years as a comedian. It's like, yeah, because he sucks. He struggled for 12, 13 years without any like real notoriety or success, because, well, that's just what happens, but also he sucks. And I guess like some TikTok of his went viral, and then everybody what people saw was like, oh, here's a really hot guy doing stand up, So let's throw money at him. But like I don't know. Like money itself is like I don't know. Making money, the ability to actually make money and build wealth is something to be respected and like observed and learned from, but it's also like not particularly interesting, and it doesn't mean that what someone's doing is like worthwhile really. It's just like, yeah, they made money, but lots of people have made money doing like fucking dumb shit, like contributing nothing. I mean, look at that artist, that guy Jeff Koons. Like he makes like stainless steel. He doesn't even make them. He like contracts. He gets like servants or whatever to create the shit for him. Like those like stainless steel balloon animals, like these like balloon. It looks like a balloon animal. It looks like a poodle, but it's made out like stainless steel and it's painted blue. And he'll have his like servants make these things, and they could be anywhere from like small, like actually like a balloon animal, to like big ass sculptures, and they sell for millions and millions of fucking dollars. But it's uninspired bullshit. There's nothing to it. It's like worse than even like Basquiat or Warhol. It's like worse than that. I don't know if we got any Basquiat fans here, any Warhol fans, but I just think what they did was really fucking stupid. And, but that's, I mean, the art world is beyond me. I just know what I look at and like and think is actually good versus bullshit. And I look at Basquiat's stuff and I'm like, this is some bullshit. This looks like dog shit. And what, I'm supposed to like it because he was black? All right, fine, I guess. If you want to do, if what gives this value is the fact that not liking it is racist, then I mean that therein is kind of the fucking problem with what he did. So I say heroin did its fucking job with Basquiat, folks. Good fucking riddance. Um, uh, damn. What else? This has been an energetic one. It's because I got a damn Zen wintergreen in right now. A 6 milligram Zen wintergreen. Uh, see that? Zen is no sin, as Tucker Carlson says. What a piece of shit that guy is. And he's doing the podcast circuit now because he's not allowed to be a news anchor anymore. It's funny how that works. It's funny how when you've worked in and gotten fired from every cable news organization, that it's like you that's when you realize, like, when Rupert Murdoch himself fires you, that's when you finally say, "Oh, I guess cable news is kind of shady and does a lot of like weird propagandistic stuff and um, distorts information for the purposes of manufacturing consent." Blah blah blah. It's funny how you come to that realization when the job is just no longer available, right? And so now it's time to cater to those that swore off of traditional legacy media and mainstream news and start doing Barstool podcasts and the fucking Theo Vaughn podcast, as though that's a choice you were gonna make anyway. Like as though, like, no, I actually do. I want to do this. I want to be in the podcast world. I don't want my multi-million-dollar a year job at Fox News. I actually want to do podcasting now. It's such bullshit. Just bullshit. And people are falling for it. People with more, wealth and resources and connections than me, like more important people that watch that and make decisions and stuff like that. Uh, I just don't. I don't like the thing with I don't know anything about Theo Vaughn. Like people have compared me to him, I guess, because we're both like Southern boys. But I've watched him, and I'm like this is like really just like the human version of a puppy. Like watching him, I'm like, this is how a dog acts. This is how like a dog like a every guest he has, his attitude towards them is like when a dog's owner comes home from work, and that was the vibe I was getting from that Tucker Carlson interview. Was just like he was just, just a puppy that was happy that his owner is home, or that, or just like the Pokemon Ditto, whereas he'll just take on the attributes of whoever he's in the room with. Because I don't know if he has any like real knowledge or opinions of Tucker Carlson, like what that guy is, but that guy's an absolute fucking scumbag. Like he was one of the biggest proponents of the Iraq War after 9/11, and was one of the like turn on the glass people. He was an absolute he is an absolute far right extremist who like believes that like no woman should ever have access to abortions, and he has like yeah he's his politics are so fucking corrupted, and he's like his biggest crime is just being like a war hawk. And he did this thing where like he called for that fucking Iraq invasion, and in doing so, like being like one of the faces of the propaganda machine, is probably like responsible for a considerable amount of bloodshed at that time, and responsible for like getting people on board with the Operation Iraqi Freedom, which just translates to kill as many fucking brown people as we can over there, and then like as public perception starts to change regarding that, he realizes that he has to too, I guess, because he's come out in recent years, and maybe like I don't know when, but he started saying, yeah, all shucks, I feel kind of bad about saying that we should invade Iraq, and then there's like people who say that that's like respectable, that like the fact that he did this about face was like, well, hey, at least you learned, buddy. We all make mistakes, and it's like I don't know, that's not really commendable to me. That there's nothing commendable about being like one of the most prominent faces in cable news, and calling for this like fucking totally atrocious war, an absolute crime against humanity, and then just saying you're like, oh, actually that was I was wrong to do that, and then people are like, bravo sir, well done, you learned. It's like, no, it doesn't make it okay. It's like, okay, great, you learned your lesson, fuck right the fuck off. The blood's on your hands, and your coffers were still lined by that. What are you gonna do with all those fucking millions? You gonna like give that money to like the displaced and disenfranchised people of the region, or you gonna put it towards some like humanitarian effort? No, this is just window dressing, you fucking cretin. So it's like to see him on that fucking Theo Vaughn show. I'm like what is even Theo's agenda here? Like get more clicks and make more money? Like I don't even like, it doesn't make any sense. Like other than the fact, like other than like maybe like what Theo thinks is he's being like a free thinking intellectual in some degree. Like I'll have anybody on and have a conversation with anybody. It's like there's some people you just really should not have a fucking conversation with. Like I would not humor Tucker Carlson in any way. Like that video that went viral a while back of like that guy confronting him at some like hunting shop, as cringy as that kind of was, like what that guy was doing, Tucker Carlson absolutely fucking deserves like whatever animosity and piss and vinegar can be thrown at him. That guy is an absolute fucking monster who like should not have a platform. And so what? Just because he does Zen, just because he like I do Zen. I like Zen. And I don't think we should ever go to war, and I think women should be able to get abortions right up to as the head is crowning. Lop it off if you have to. That's how pro-choice I am, folks. Um, so where's my reward? Yeah, that's yeah, I don't like what's happening with that guy. Tucker Carlson, just trying to pivot and appeal to like the younger dipshit generation that thinks that what they're intellectual because they don't watch Fox News, they listen to the Joe Rogan Experience. It's like, okay, well, I mean, you traded one idiot for another, and it's like, to Joe Rogan's credit, you know, he is a little more what's the word? There is a little more liberation in what he's doing. Like he does interview like all just many different kinds of people, and is not like pushing any real agenda. But it's also like, you know, um, very stupid. How many times are you gonna talk about going to do fucking DMT and shit like that? Oh, whatever. Maybe I am just a hater, just a fucking hater. These people. I mean, maybe these people are not idiots. It's just like, because they clearly understand business and how to appeal to people and build an audience and make tons of money. So it's like, in that regard, they're not idiots. It's just frustrating to watch because they seem so like dull, just fucking dull, and not even aware of like how complicit they are in like public perception and like the way people think and operate. You know, it's you know, whatever. It would be nice to just, you know, I mean, if you were throwing that kind of money at me, I guess I would also. Who knows where my principles are? If I had enough money and big enough platform, and you know, somebody like Henry Kissinger wanted to do my podcast, you know, I guess I would do it for the clicks, for the money, perhaps. Um, but I would grill him. I'd be like, yo, what the fuck? Yo, what the fuck was up with Cambodia? What'd you do? What'd you do to Cambodia, my friend? Uh, not that I'm even like well knowledge in any of that shit. I guess this is hacktivism. This is, oh, I'm a Marxist. I'm actually a communist. And whatever. Socialism and communism are like fun ideologies to have when you're absolutely flat fucking broke. But I figure if I ever actually do have, I will have money when I'm the first billionaire podcaster. I'll be a staunch capitalist. And I don't know. I've made it known I'm actually a feudalist. Like I believe we are returning to and should return to feudalism and just pay up our labor to the lords of the vassal. Um, that's sort of the thesis of all of what I'm doing these days is just pro feudalism. Um, I don't know, but I have like thought a lot about socialism and communism, and it is like, yeah, I mean, when you're poor as fuck, those are actually really nice ideals to think about, because it's like, man, this would really take a load off me if there were like social services in place that allowed for any mobility in my life. But if I ever had any real money, I'd be like, pull yourself up by your fucking bootstraps and do podcasting like I did. You absolute fucking bugs. You shit stains on society. Wanting a handout, wanting to take the easy road and not have to do podcasting, not having to do TikToks like I do. Um, that probably that'll do it for this one. I everybody, please subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. Please follow me on TikTok. Let me know if I should stop uploading the rack reactions to the YouTube channel. Because I do want to make sure I maintain YouTube subscribers, and if those are pushing people away, I'll just keep those on their respective platforms. Thank you. I love you. Good night.